Hey guys, welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. So we're going to have a global summoning boost for Ancient Shards starting tomorrow. That is going on from Friday all the way to Monday. So we've got a full weekend of pulling Ancient Shards. This is probably the biggest shard pulling event in Raid Shadow Legends. Void, you get better champions, and Sacred Shards, you do get a better chance of pulling a legendary, but they're insanely expensive. Whereas the Ancients you can pick up for a reasonable price, and also you get quite a lot of them just from playing various different applications of the game anyway. So usually people have a few of them saved up every time one of these comes around. So it's always a really popular one, this. So it's going to increase the rates from 0.5 to 1% for Legendary and 8% to 16 for Epics. I'm sure you all know this already, but I'm just clarifying this for people. And so it means you've got a very good chance, still not much of a chance of a Legendary, but a very good chance of getting some of the Epics, which is why I decided to do this quick video on the top 5 Epics you can get from the game out of Ancient Shards, in my opinion. That is definitely my opinion, but these are definitely 5 of the top Epics in the game, I believe. Just another couple of things before we start the video. There is a new update as well that's just come out. There's a bunch of new champions here that have been released, and these are all pullable from shards, so that's another really cool thing. If you're pulling shards this weekend, you've got a good chance of getting some of these brand new epics, which I'm really excited about. The legendaries look cool, but there's at least 3 or 4 epics that I really fancy playing with, so hopefully we can pull some of them this weekend. If you would like me to pull any of your shards live on stream or on YouTube, I'm happy to do that. Just send me a message, send me a Discord message, everything's linked below, and we can definitely arrange that. So we've actually had an increase in storage capacity from 200 to 300 for our champions. This does cost silver, just so you know. I mean, it costs a lot of silver actually, because I've already got the 200 maxed out, but I think it's a couple of million silver for every 10 or something, so it is expensive. But the artifact and accessory storage is free, so that is a free upgrade. That's just automatically put onto our system, which is pretty cool. And this is one thing that kind of got me as well. We have a daily login reward, but here's the 14 new champions released. I actually just did a video on that the other day, so I'm going to link that in the description above. Check that out if you haven't. We go in depth to every single one of these champions, and there's a lot of good ones. It's definitely worth checking out. So here's the new daily login rewards, and this is going to be on rotation all the time. As soon as you get to this last shard, the sacred shard, it's just going to reset and you go through it again. So I have to admit, like, we've given Player Aim a hard time in the past, and I mean, this should have been in the game all the time. It seems stupid that it's not, but credit where credit's due. We're now able to get a good amount of sacred shards every month for free from Player Aim, which is pretty good because they are insanely expensive. So, but yeah, the rest of these things look pretty good. You've got a couple of 300s and a 400 energy, which is always useful. The only things that aren't that useful really are things like this, the basic charms. Not much use. Substat charm, type charm, I would say they're pretty useless. But apart from that, everything else in here is actually really useful. A couple of glyphs is always good, some silver is good, 5-star chicken. And the good thing is these amulets are both 6-star, which is really cool because they were always giving out 5-star amulets in these things. So they've obviously listened to the community, and people are just selling those, to be honest. So that is cool. A couple of 100 gems there. Sacred's always good. Some books. Yeah, this is definitely a move in the right direction. So I like this. Very good. Anyway, so coming in at number 5, the 5th best, in my opinion, champion you can pull this weekend from shards is going to be Seeker. Seeker is he's an old school, he's an OG, and he is definitely one of the most useful champions in the game, epic wise, or just generally. He's used in so many of the top teams in terms of clan boss. I see him in arena all the time. He's a lot of platinum teams are running Seeker now. He's got some great abilities. He's got this really cool passive that actually works pretty well in arena. Heals his champion and places an increased defense on all allies for 2 turns when he's hit with a critical hit, which is really useful. He's got a fill turn meter in his A2 and increase attack, then grants an extra turn. And then he's got an A1 that provokes more than it probably should, to be honest. It's pretty strong. And he's got an allied defense in arena battles by 30%. So if you pull him early on, he's really strong for arena. As you can tell, he's got aura for it. He's got great turn meter fill, increased attack, a really good passive. But he is in my unkillable clan boss team, and that's doing 1 key ultra nightmare. So he's top tier in terms of clan boss. Really strong, good stats. He's got good solid speed, solid defense, good attack, decent HP. So he's just an all-round solid champion to your roster. Definitely one you want to pull this weekend. Next we're going into High Elves, and we're looking at the famous Royal Guard. The Royal Guard is awesome. He's another OG. He's been in the top tier lists of epic champions for ages. I don't think anyone would disagree with me here. He does huge damage to bosses. This is what he's used for. Is his A2. He has a damage increasing according to enemy max HP skill. Similar to Cold Heart, he just smacks bosses for huge amounts of damage, but he's got a lot more versatility than a Cold Heart. She's in there just to do huge damage, whereas he can actually decrease turn meter, puts decreased speed down. He's got a decreased defense on his A1, and he's more survivable than Cold Heart. So I mean, he is an epic over a rare, but yeah, he's really strong. He's got fantastic base attack for an epic, 1.53, which is really strong. Pretty slow, but that's fine. You normally want him kind of going last after all your debuffers anyway. Yeah, he's unbelievably good. So this guy's A1, decreased attack, decreased defense on I think it's a 65% chance, which is a bit random. It hits quite a lot. This skill, like I say, it hits so unbelievably hard. Attacks all enemies, it increases according to enemy max HP. You can gear these guys so that like 2 of them will just kill the Spider 20 boss in 1 turn. And then this A3 is actually really good as well. 4 times at random, so fantastic for the Fire Knight again. Takes that shield down, and then if you can keep his turn meter down, you can keep smacking him with that A2. And he's also got an attack in dungeons by 35%, which I use a lot, which is really strong. So just an all-round fantastic champion, one you would definitely want to pull. So coming in at number 3, we're going into Knight Revenant here, looking at the Miscreated Monster. I think this guy was the 2nd epic I ever pulled. He saw me through so much content. It was, if you pull this guy early, the game just gets so much easier. He's got the strongest kit, in my opinion, in terms of versatility for any of the epics. Maybe, well, Madame, but she's a void, so she's not in this list. Madame's got some crazy stuff, but this guy just does everything. And let's just go through his kit quickly. His A1 puts stuns on, it hits 2 times, and it also has a 50%, 60% booked of putting a decreased defense down as well if the stun debuff is placed. So that is pretty crazy. I mean, that's a really crazy A1 really for any champion, even a legendary. The A2 is one of his standout abilities here, so it's kind of like Santa's A2, but it stuns as well. Doesn't hit quite as hard as Santa, but it does hit pretty decent. So it attacks all enemies, 50% chance of placing a stun debuff. It doesn't increase the chance. You can do that through the masteries, but 50% is still really good for an AoE because stun is a very strong debuff. But then it also puts a shield on all allies for 3 turns, which is huge, equal to 25% of the damage inflicted. So he's HP based, so boost his HP up, crit rate and loads of crit damage, and you'll get loads of shield off this thing. HP scales really well with crit damage if you can get good multipliers on it, so this is a great skill. 3 turn cooldown as well, which is nuts. And he's got an ally protection on his A3, and it heals this champion by 50% of his max HP and puts heals on him as well on a 4 turn cooldown, so really strong kit. But then his passive is nuts as well. It places a fear debuff on the attacker for 1 turn whenever an ally is attacked while under ally protection buff. So he puts on the ally protection buff, so you're putting fears all over the place. And he also has a big increase to HP in arena, which you don't use that much. But he's got crazy stats as well. 22k health for an epic's huge. Not so great defense, but he survives pretty well, to be honest. 95 speed. But yeah, he's an all-star. If you pull him, well done, fantastic. That's going to make the game a lot easier for you. I guess when you get to proper high-end content, he doesn't get used that much, but he's that kind of funny champion. He'll sail you through arena, everything bar clan boss, really, up to the point when you get to like proper end game. Then you tend to vault him. I don't use him much nowadays, but I do remember how good he was as a starting account, so he's got to be warranting that number 3 spot. So coming in at number 2, we're going straight into the Orcs actually, and this is a bit of a curveball here. I'm going for the new guy, Duck the Pierced. Probably one of the coolest skins in the game, actually. I really, really like the design on this guy. Raider are generally good at designing stuff, but this guy's super cool. So I don't actually have this guy. Nobody's played with him yet. He's just been released today. So I'm going out on a bit on a limb here, but I'm going to go through skills first and explain why I think he is going to be warranting this number 2 spot as an epic champion so quickly, maybe even number 1 at one point. So he's got an A1 that attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 30%, 40% when booked of placing decreased accuracy for 2 turns. That's not great. It's okay. There's not a lot of stuff that does decrease accuracy. It's better than people give it credit for. I'll say that. A lot of people just dismiss this, but suddenly if they can't hit their debuffs, it is a big hindrance to them. It's huge. But there's definitely stronger A1s out there, but that's not why he is in there. He does do damage based on defense. This is one of the main reasons that I do think he is this good. He's got decent defense as well. His A2, here it is, so attacks all enemies, and it has a 100% when booked chance of putting a 50% decreased attack and 75% chance, 100 when booked, of placing the 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns on each critical hit. So you want to get a critical hit anyway. Critical hits are good, so just ignore that bit. This is Stag Knight's ability, but the difference between Stag Knight and him, I would say Stag Knight has a better A1 to be fair, but he is defense based and he does his damage off defense. So you're going to get 100% crit, hit decent with him. I don't know what his multipliers are, I haven't checked that out yet, but he's doing the exact same ability, decrease attack and defense, and Stag Knight is insanely good. He would probably be in this spot if it wasn't for this guy, who in my opinion is just a direct upgrade to Stag Knight, because he's got more in his kit afterwards we're just going to have a look at. Yeah, because Stag Knight being an attack based champion, he can be a bit squishy and doing the damage and attack, whereas I always thought if Stag Knight was defense based he would be insane. Well, here we go, we've got the defense based Stag Knight, but the bonus is he's got all that good stuff, because Stag Knight's only got an A1 and an A2, then he's got a passive that puts accuracy debuffs down, which this guy does on his A1 actually, but he's got an A3 that's actually really, really strong as well. He places a provoke debuff for 1 turn on the target enemy, and it has a 75% chance of placing provoke on another 2 random enemies. So it's almost, 75% chance it can't be booked up, but it's a really good chance that, and that's almost a pseudo AoE provoke. It's just about there, which on any other champion is huge. Then puts reflect damage on him and an unkillable. That's a really, really strong ability considering how strong his A2 is. This guy might be number 1, to be honest. I'm not putting him in the number 1 spot just purely because he's never been used. But looking at his kit, if he's mildly survivable and his hits decent, this guy's going to be an absolute truck of a champion. Really, really strong. This is what you want. He's got the debuffs that you really need. He's got wave control and provokes. He's got decreased accuracy. He's also got a passive, and it increases ally defense and faction crypts by 31%. So yeah, that's pretty situational, but faction crypts is really good just now. You want to try and get Lydia, you have to complete this, and 31% is huge, so it's definitely useful. But his stats here were 15.8k health, like I say, 1.37 defense, 97 speeds. Could be a little bit faster, that's the only thing. I think Stag Knight's a little bit faster than him. But all in all, guys, let me know what you think. If I'm totally wrong, put it in the comments below, but I honestly think this guy's going to be crazy. Just look at him, he's just a proper direct upgrade in every sense of the meaning to Stag Knight, because he's defense based, tick. He's got an amazing A3, which Stag Knight doesn't even have an A3, tick. Stag Knight's passive is kinda okay-ish, it's not really that great, but effectively this does the same thing as it anyway. The only thing Stag Knight does which is really good is the decreased speed, which actually comes in handy quite a lot. But I do believe this guy is much better, so super excited to pull this guy. Hopefully some of you pull him this weekend. So the number 1 spot, as usual within the Epic Champions, it has to go to the old favourite. I'm back in the High Elves and we're going to Tyrell. He's been number 1 for a long time, and for good reasons too. He's absolutely fantastic. He just does everything. Yeah, the other guy that I just showed you there, Duck or whatever his name is, he's kind of unproven yet. He's got a very good skill base, but this guy is proven beyond belief. He's used everywhere. He's used in Arena, he's used in Clan Boss, high-end Clan Boss teams. He's used in all the dungeons. I still use him in a bunch of my dungeons. He's just a go-to champion for me that I've got built out. When in doubt, I stick in Tyrell because he does loads of stuff. So let's just go through his abilities. His A1's really strong. It attacks one enemy 2 times, has a 50% chance when booked of placing decreased attack, and he's obviously defense based, so this is what you want out of your champions. If ideally you can have a defense based champion, it means they deal damage off their defense, they're survivable, and they hit hard, which is a bonus. It's exactly what you want. His A2 here is really strong, so it's 100% when booked chance of placing decreased defense for 2 turns on an AoE. If the target is under a decreased attack debuff, it will place a sleep debuff for 1 turn. So I'm not going to lie, that doesn't happen loads, but it is pretty useful. It does, you know, the sleep debuff, don't totally sleep on it, pardon the pun. It does hit sometimes, and when it does, it's extremely strong. But you're looking more just this as an AoE decreased defense. And like I say, the guy before actually did this and the decreased attack on the 1 skill. But you know, the one thing about Tyrell is he hits pretty hard with this ability as well, which is really, really good. His A3 also is very, very strong. Attacks 1 enemy, single target, but it decreases the target's turn meter by 50%. If it fully depletes it, it will put a stun debuff on him. This skill hits really, really hard. It's great for arena. If you can keep people down and stun them, you've pretty much won the game. That's a really good way of doing it. And he's got one of the best auras, really, that I use it everywhere. It's just a 25% straight up increase in all battles. So if in doubt, I don't have anyone else that does it to a specific area, I just pull in Tyrell because I know I'm just going to get a 25% increase in ally defense around the board, which is really, really strong. Base stats similar to the last guy actually. We're looking at about 16k HP, a little bit more. Attacks meaningless, 1.34 defense, so very similar. 95 speed, roughly the same. So this is the other thing that's making me think about this new Duck Pierced guy or whatever. I don't know how you pronounced it. The Huck Pierce, something like that. He's got such similar stats to Tyrell as well, and I know Tyrell performs well. That's why I think he might actually be number 1, but I'm putting Tyrell there just now because he's tried and tested and proven. So if any of you guys haven't pulled Tyrell, I hope you do manage to do it this weekend. He's a game changer for your account. Definitely a legendary champion in an epic skin. And yeah, well, that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you're not, make sure you hit that bell button for notifications so you don't miss any of the new content coming out. Going to be putting out quite a lot of new videos in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for all of that. But anyway, guys, have a great day. Peace.